We are in Torah Vav called Kra Et Yehoshua. And we were speaking about yesterday, I'm just going to shortly recap the end of yesterday's shir, how Rabbi Nachman said that the chaf of kavod, the first letter of the word kavod, meaning glory and honor and respect, is the same chaf that represents the keter, and is also this aspect of kavod and keter, which we are saying are one and the same, is also the same aspect as the name of Hashem, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, Ekeh, which means I am preparing myself to be. I am preparing myself to exist. I'm preparing my existence. And it is also the same aspect as Teshuvah, which is this itself. This idea of Teshuvah. Teshuvah is when a person has no existence and he is preparing himself to have an existence. That's what Teshuvah is all about. And so another understanding that is added to the idea of Teshuvah by saying that Keter and Teshuvah is the same aspect is the fact that there's a pasuk in Eov that says, wait for me for a while and I will tell you, or I will show you. And that pasuk is Katar li ze'er va'achaveka. Katar li ze'er. Wait for me for a while, va'achaveka, I will show you. So the word in this pasuk that means wait is katar. Katar, reading, is the same, it's just a different way of reading the same letters as the word keter. So we see that the word keter has this meaning of waiting. And waiting is the added understanding and in the aspect of Teshuvah that Rabbi Nachman wants us to have here. He wants us to understand that one of the elemental parts of Teshuvah, one of the most important foundations of Teshuvah is this energy, this way of being of patience. And that's what we were speaking about yesterday in other words, right? In a different way, but it's the same idea. We were speaking about how a person only merits Teshuvah when he withstands insult with silence. He doesn't respond. He experiences, he hears himself being insulted. He experiences an insult, a disrespect, something not going the way he wants it to go. And he is silent instead of reacting, instead of getting angry. And so that silence, we said, is an inner silence. It's an inner peace. And that's the same aspect as patience. Okay, here Rabbi Nachman is calling it patience in this paragraph. And that means that a person wants right now to do tshuva, and he wants the success. He wants he wants to know the whole Torah, understand the whole Torah, daven perfectly, fulfill all the mitzvot perfectly, and not always is a person given that right away. Not only is it that not always is he given that all the way, but the Gemara teaches us that the way is that usually he is not given that right away. And that's why the Gemara, the Gemara brings a parable about what happens when a person wants to do tshuva. The Gemara says, this very famous Gemara that says that Haba litaher misainoto, that someone who is coming to purify himself, so min hashamayim, they help him. He is not alone. When a person wants to do good, he is not alone. He is helped. The Gemara says something different about someone that wants to sin. The Gemara says, Abali tameh, someone who comes to make himself impure, right, to sin, potchin lo, they open up for him. So the difference here, and we must pay attention to the difference in the wording that the Gemara uses for someone that comes to purify himself, and the wording that the Gemara uses to explain what happens, how it works spiritually when someone comes to make themselves impure. When a person comes to make themselves impure, to sin, to corrupt themselves, the Gemara says that they open up for him, meaning that there is free choice, and if a person wants to sin, they allow him to sin. But when a person comes to do mitzvah, when a person wants to serve Hashem, when a person wants to purify themselves truly from the depths of the heart, authentically, So then the Gemara says, Misayinoto. Not only do they allow you to do tshuva, not only do they allow you to do mitzvot, but they actually help you. There's a tremendous supernatural help, a miraculous help that comes from above when a person wants to do good, when a person wants to do teshuvah. How a person is helped from above to overcome the patterns of thinking and the patterns of feeling and the patterns of living and doing and behaving that a person was accustomed to is miraculous, to say the least. But even so, the Gemara says that the Gemara brings right away this metaphor that it's compared to someone who comes to buy farsimon oil, persimmon oil. It's very sweet oil, very, very, at least back then, it's very rare and valuable, very precious. And the person comes to buy this sweet-smelling oil at the store that sells besamim. And they tell him, hold on a moment, let me go to the back to get this for you. So that holding on a moment, the Gemara is explaining that this is an elemental foundation in teshuvah. That you must know that when a person wants to do teshuvah, one of the foundations of teshuvah is that it comes from this energy of patience, that inner silence, that inner peace, and that release of the ego that is running after its fulfillment, the ego fulfillment. Okay, so that's what we got up to yesterday, and now let's continue. So we said that teshuvah is this aspect of the name Aleph Ke Yud Ke, because we said that in the Zohar, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, the name of Hashem Aleph Ke Yud Ke, Ekia, means Ana Zamin Lemeheve, I am preparing myself to be. And a person who is doing teshuvah was in a state of not being. Okay, he disconnected himself from the essence of being, and he is now preparing himself to be. So that's Aleph Ke Yud Ke. But before a person did teshuvah, the Aleph Ke Yud Ke still exists, but by him it is concealed. Okay, and the concealment of that name Aleph Ke Yud Ke is represented by Aleph Ke Yud Ke being written ba'achorai. In a hit achorai, we spoke about in the Kavanot of Pesach and Sfirat Omer, is when it's written Aleph, Aleph K, Aleph K Yud, Aleph K Yud K. Okay, this ties right into the Kavanot of Pesach and Sfirat Omer, this Torah. It's beautiful how we're learning it now. Min HaShamayim. So Aleph Ke Yud Ke, when it's written out in Achoraim, Aleph, Aleph Ke, Aleph Ke Yud, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, that is called Achoraim. Achoraim, there's two reasons why whenever you write a name in that way, it's called Achoraim. There's two reasons. One reason that Arizal says is because the Achoraim of every name, even Yud Ke Vav Ke, you take Yud Ke Vav Ke and you write it out, Yud, Yud Ke, Yud Ke Vav, Yud Ke Vav Ke, that represents the concealment or the back, the indirect of that aspect, of that name of Hashem, of that Bechina that you're speaking about, that is written out. When it's written out, Achoraim, the Achoraim of that is the concealment of that. It's the indirect of that. It's the hidden side of it. And we were speaking about in the Kavanot how whenever there's a light, a shefa, that is being brought down from a higher world to a lower world, it's only the last aspect, the back aspect, the indirect aspect of the higher world that is able to be mitlabesh, is able to be enclosed within the lower world. And that's why we had in the Kavanot this name of Hashem, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, when it's brought down into Zah, Zer Anpin, he receives it as Aleph, Aleph Ke, Aleph Ke Yud, Aleph Ke Yud Ke. That's the aspect that goes down into Zer Anpin. It's only the back, the concealed aspect, the indirect aspect of this Bechina from Ima that is brought down into him. But now back to Rabbi Nachman. So Rabbi Nachman says that before a person did Teshuvah, for him, the aspect of Aleph Ke Yud Ke, which represents Teshuvah, Ekye, is I am preparing myself to be. Before he did Teshuvah, it's concealed. He is not experiencing that Aleph Ke Yud Ke directly. It's concealed, it's indirect, it's hidden, it's the back. And that's why, for him, the Aleph Ke Yud Ke is written out, Aleph, Aleph Ke, Aleph Ke Yud, Aleph Ke Yud Ke. Because before a person did teshuvah, he still hasn't prepared himself to be in the world. Preparing yourself to be is teshuvah. That's the essence of teshuvah. That's the definition of the name Aleph Ke Yud Ke. Ana zamin lemeheve. I am preparing myself to be. But before a person does teshuvah, he doesn't care about being. He's happy living in this illusion of being, the absolute sheker of being, the false being, the non-being, if you will. So v'hastarat pnei ekye gimatria dam. And now the Rabbi Nachman brings this that we know already from the Shar Kavanot, that the hidden side of Aleph Ke Yud Ke, which is, as we said, Achoraim, the back aspect of Aleph Ke Yud Ke, has the numerical value of Dam. Now, what does that teach us? What does that represent? Dam, blood, says Rabbi Nachman, represents whenever things do not go my way, whenever I'm insulted, whenever when I'm going through suffering. Okay, when things are not going my way, things are not going according to my will, and I'm insulted, I'm disrespected, that's the aspect of shvichut damim. It's as if, so to speak, emotionally, I'm being killed. And that's why the Gemara says that when a person, the Gemara says it's better that a person should throw himself in a burning hot, flaming furnace rather than embarrass a fellow Jew in public. Because when you embarrass someone, and especially in public, the Gemara says, Azil sumika ve'ati chivra. You see in the face of the person that is embarrassed, the red going out of the face. It's being drained out of the face, the red, and the face becomes white. So the Gemara says that's an aspect of killing the person. That's an aspect of killing the person. And killing somebody in the Torah says that killing is one of the three sins that a person should rather be killed than to transgress, right? Shvichut damim. And so that's why the Gemara says it's better that a person should throw himself into a furnace, burning hot furnace, than embarrass his friend in public. And where do we learn this from? We learn this from Yehuda and Tamar, right? Yehuda and Tamar. Tamar was accused of being a harlot, and that's why she was pregnant. And because she was the daughter, she was from the family. She was a daughter of Shem. She was the daughter of Shem, so she was a kohenet. Shem was a kohen, and so since she was a kohenet, she came from the family of Kohen. So there's a more serious consequence for a woman from the family of Kehuna that carries out immoral relationships, and that is instead of hereg, instead of the regular death by the beddin, they would be killed with sreifa, which is burning. And so she was being brought to be burnt, and she had a choice. She could have easily had gotten herself out of it by saying, well, hold on, don't burn me. He is the one that got me pregnant, and pointed to Yehuda. But that would have embarrassed him. So what did she do? Rather than say that and save herself from being burnt, she went and she hinted to him. She hinted to Yehuda, without telling anyone that she got pregnant from him. She hinted to him personally and said, recognize whose staff is this. Okay, recognize, so that he has a choice now. He can either say, okay, it was me, and embarrass himself, or he can let her be killed. Okay, but she had a choice. She could have easily saved herself from being burnt by doing something that would have caused him embarrassment in front of everyone. But she did not. She was ready to go and be burnt rather than embarrassed Yehuda. And from here, the Gemara learns that it's better that a person should throw himself to a burning hot furnace rather than embarrass his fellow. But back to what Rabbi Nachman is saying. He's saying that the dam, the word dam, which is Aleph Ke Yud Ke, the back aspect, the indirect aspect, the concealed aspect of Aleph Ke Yud Ke, Aleph Ke, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, that is when a person is experiencing that, that's before a person does teshuvah. Before a person does teshuvah, he is not yet preparing himself to be. Okay, he's disconnected from real being. And therefore, by him, Aleph Keyutke is hidden. It's concealed. It's Achoraim. It has the numerical value of Dam, which represents Shvichu Damim. It represents the spilling of blood, which is when a person is killed, which is an aspect of insult, of things not going my way. When a person experiences something not going their way, that's suffering of that the suffering that a person experiences from the resistance to what is going on that is not according to their will. That suffering is an experience on some level of being killed. But if a person so that's the aspect that a person needs to go through in order to get to teshuvah. Okay, that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying here. This is the spilling of his blood and the embarrassment, the insult. Hashem ubozai yikalu. כי עדיין הדם שבחלל השמאלי שבלב, ששם מדור היצר הרע, כמו שכתוב, ולב כסיל לשמאלו, עדיין הוא בתוקף העוז. ובשביל זה באין עליו ביזיונות ושפיכות דמים, כי זה בחינת הסתרת והחזרת פני אקיה, גימטריה דם. בתיקון הזה שיהפוך דם לדום, שיהיה מן השומעים חרפתם ואינם משיבים, ולא ידקדק על ביזיון כבודו, או שמקיים דום להשם, אז הקדוש ברוך הוא מפיל לו חללים חללים, כמו שכתוב דום להשם ויתחולל לו, והוא יפיל לך חללים. היינו, בליבי חלל בקרבי, היינו על ידי זה נטמע את הדם שבחלל השמאלי. Unbelievable. Rabbi Nachman says that the reason why a person, before doing tshuva, when he is not in the state of preparing himself to be, he's disconnected from real being, he is in this aspect of dam, of blood. The reason why is because a person has in a person's heart, we have two sides to it. We have the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart. In the right side of the heart, the Gemara says, is the Yetzer Tov. The left side of the heart represents the Yetzer Ra. So the right side of the heart will represent the divine aspect within us, and the left side of the heart will represent the animal side within us. Now, the dam, says Rabbi Nachman, all of the suffering that a person endures in life, all the difficulties, all of the insults, is because a person has not yet rectified and released the animal side of the heart, the left side, the blood of the left side of the heart. And that blood in the left side of the heart, when it's in its full strength, that causes kaas, that causes anger. Okay, that's the blood of Esav. That's the anger of Esav. And that is what causes all the suffering that a person has. Now, that's the state that a person is before he does tshuva, before he is in real being, before he's connected to real beingness. He's in that state of dam. He's in that state of blood, that state of the power, the empowered blood of the left side of the heart, the animal, the ego, as we spoke about yesterday. Now, what's the tikkun to that dam? What's the release of that dam? Says Rabbi Nachman, you take the same word dam, but you just change the pronunciation. Dam, you change the pronunciation from dam to dom. What does dom mean? Dom means to be silent. Dom la Hashem v'yitcholel lo. There's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, "You shall be silent to Hashem, and you shall turn to Him in hope." Okay, long for Him. So the Gemara makes a drush on this pasuk in Tehillim and says that if you're silent to Hashem, right, when some difficulty happens in your life, you're silent to Hashem, and you long for Him, meaning you turn to Him with trust. You turn your eyes to Him with trust. That's what happens when you're silent to Hashem. It means that you're accepting what is. You're accepting Hashem's will. That's where that silence is coming from. It's not a suppression of the emotion. That's not at all what silence is about. It's a silence that comes from releasing the anger and turning to somewhere higher and deeper, turning to Hashem. That's the dom la Hashem. You're silent to Hashem, and then you look at Him. You look to Him. You hope longingly to the Ribono Shel Olam. That's turning to Hashem. That's v'hitcholelo. So the Gemara says when you do that, the Gemara brings a drasha and says, Hu yapil lecha chalalim. Hashem will take care, he will strike dead all of those aspects, things that are not going according to your will. Hashem will completely wipe them out. He will remove all of the resistance in your life. When you do this exercise, when you do this avodah of Dom la Hashem, you transform the dam, the blood, the bubbling blood in the left side of the heart that is full of resistance and anger and frustration about everything that's not going to my will. And you release that, and you change it from a dam to a dom, to a silence, to the Rebbeinu Shalom, a peaceful silence of longing, of hope, of emunah and bitachon. Hu yapil lecha chalalim. He will strike down all of that resistance, all of those things that are in your way, that are not going according to your will. He will remove that from in front of you. So he says, what is that function of removing all of that resistance that Hashem removes, strikes dead? The translation of the words in the Gemara, he will strike dead all of those that stand against you. What does that mean? What is that function? Says Rabbi Nachman, the word that he will strike them dead, the chalalim is the word that the Gemara uses, is the same word that Chazal describes someone whose heart has been purified to its highest state of purification. According to the Baal Tanya, this is only possible by a tzaddik gamor. Okay? I'm saying according to the Baal Tanya because it's not absolute. Not everybody agrees with that perspective. But the way the Baal Tanya explains it, tzaddik gamor is this aspect of the heart being purified to the greatest state of purification. That's called libi halal bikirbi. That's described as my heart has become clear. My heart has become clear and emptied within me. What is it emptied of? What is it cleared from? It's cleared from and emptied of that blood in the left side, that ego, the Esav, that anger, that frustration. It's cleared from it. It's completely drained. You drain out all of that anger. You release all of that anger in the left side of the heart. And that's the heart which is hallowed, the heart which is emptied, cleared, purified. And so that's the aspect. So the Gemara calls that libi halal bikirbi. That's what it means when it says that when you're silent to Hashem, looking to Him longingly with hope, with emunah and bitachon, with trust and belief and trust in Him. At that point, through that, Hashem will strike dead all of that resistance. What does that mean? He will release all of that, the kas, the anger, the frustration, the animal, the ego, the blood in the left side of the heart. וזה בחינת זביחת היצר הרע, ועל ידי זה זוכה לכבוד אלוקי, כמו שכתוב זובח תודה יכבדני. ודרשו חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה על זביחת היצר הרע. He says that this, what we just described, the emptying out of the blood from the left side of the heart, the clearing the blood of the animal side, the ego side, through belief and trust in Hashem, through that silence, that inner peace, he says this is in itself, this is the definition of what it means to slaughter the Yetzer Hara. That's what it means, because that shfichut damim, the spilling of the blood, is not your own blood that you're spilling the blood, you're draining the blood of the Yetzer Hara, of the left side of the heart. So that's what you're doing here. You are slaughtering the Yetzer Hara on a personal level in this aspect, in what is going on. In that experience, you are slaughtering your personal Yetzer Hara. And what happens when you zoveach todah yichabidanini, when you're slaughtering the Yetzer Hara, you merit the honor of Hashem. As the pasuk says, zoveach todah yichabidanini, that whoever brings a korban, whoever brings a sacrifice of thanksgiving, he honors me. And Chazal explained that that's referring to slaughtering the Yetzer Hara. And through that, you honor Hashem. So you are included through that in the honor of Hashem. So this is the culmination of what he started at the beginning, saying that the way you merit to the honor of Hashem, he said, now the way he is summarizing it is through slaughtering your Yetzer Hara. How do you slaughter your Yetzer Hara? By experiencing insult. Things not going my way, things are difficult, and still you are silent, inner silence, inner peace, by turning to Hashem with belief and trust. Through that, you are emptying out the blood. You are draining the blood of the Yetzer Hara, which is slaughtering the Yetzer Hara. You're turning dam to dom, dam, blood, Aleph Ke Yud Ke, the hidden aspect of Aleph Ke Yud Ke, to dom, to being silent because of your belief and trust in the Hashem. And that is what Teshuvah is all about, that patience, that inner peace, that inner silence. I think we can stop here. Okay, wonderful.